with the next paragraph. But nothing happened. M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." Now here's Franz was very surprised that M. Hamel, who used to be a strict teacher and did not spare any child for doing some kind of indiscipline or coming late to the class, that day he was very polite. That was the strangest thing till that time to him. And he went to his place. M. Hamel asked him to sit quietly to his place, and then little Franz was surprised that nothing happened that day. M. Hamel was not at all angry with him. He did not scold him for coming late to school, and this way he was very surprised to hear the teacher. Further, he says that I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. I jumped over my bench and sat down at my desk. Not till then, when I had got a little over my fright, did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat. Now, after having a very opposite behavior, a different behavior from the teacher that day, and moreover he was a little ashamed of coming to school and entering into the class in front of everybody, and he quickly jumped over to his bench without looking here and there in the class and sat down at his desk. And he did not even recognize anything in the class, what was there in the class, who was present, who was absent, whether the children had already started the lesson, and nothing. He could not think of anything at that time. When he sat in his desk and he came over and he got a little over my fright. Now, the expression got a little over my fright, he says that when he could control himself, when he could overcome his fright, overcome his fear, and he saw that he could see the teacher. He saw that his teacher was in beautiful green coat. This expression "had on" is for wearing something. To put on, it is equal to put on something. Put on, it is equal to put on clothes. Okay. Now his teacher was wearing a beautiful green coat, and he was also wearing his frilled shirt and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on inspection days. Now what was the speciality of the dress? That was he wore those things on inspection days and prize days. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange. So that was the first thing that was strange for him. Now let's look what other things, what other different things, strange things did he notice in the school. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and solemn. Now the second thing is that the school was quite it was completely silence in the school, and most of the persons sitting in the class were also quiet, and they seemed to be sad, melancholy, like that feelings were there. But the thing that surprised me the most was to see on back benches that were always empty. Now the most surprising element, the third thing, the most surprising element were the back benches that were always empty. Who was sitting on the benches? The village people sitting quietly like ourselves. The most interesting thing was that the village people were also sitting quietly in the class. They were also sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others beside. Everybody looked sad. Everybody looked sad. And Hauser had brought old primer, thumbed at edges, and he held it open on his knees with his great spectacles lying across the pages. Now, the most surprising thing that we were doing was the third thing that was the most surprising thing for him was the village elders were sitting in the class very quietly like the students, and among them he had seen the famous personalities of his village, the old people, valuable people from the village, that included the mayor, the postmaster, and many other old aged people were sitting in the class, and everybody was very sad. Even one of the old persons had brought his old primer. Old primer is the book that is given to the young children who start learning a language, that has the alphabets of a language. Thumbed at edges. Now look at this expression, thumbed at edges, that this shows that this book was quite old. The edges of the book, the corners of the book were already worn out, and he had opened the book in his knees and his spectacles were lying across on the book. Now let's have a look on the notes based on the paragraph that we have read just now. Try to summarize and enhance your writing skills based on the paragraph. Okay, now let's look at the next paragraph. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to me, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." Now, in this paragraph, Franz is saying that he was wondering all the things, that why all these changes are there in the school that day, why the people were sitting in the class, why the elders were sitting in the class. He heard M. Hamel's voice, and M. Hamel had mounted his chair. Mounted his chair means he has taken the seat, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he used to me. That day he was quite unhappy, and he used the same unhappy tone to address the class. He said that that was their last lesson. He declared in the class that it was the last lesson. And why it is the last lesson? Because order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. Why? Because war was going on, and Germany had won these provinces, these areas of France. So now they had to obey the rules of the rulers, and the rulers have declared that German will be taught in the school and there will not be any teaching of French. In a sense, the French language was banned and German was made the official language. And M. Hamel said that it was the last French lesson, and he was expecting the students, he was advising the students, he advised them to be very attentive in the class. Look at the notes based on the paragraph we have read right now. The main headings, M. Hamel's announcement in the class, what were the announcements that are given. Try writing these summary. Let's read further. What a thunderclap these words were on me. What a thunderclap these words were on me. Oh, that wretches! That was what they had put up at the town hall. Now he understood the mystery of the crowd that had assembled at the town hall in front of the bulletin board. When he was coming to school, he saw a great rush, a great crowd in front of the bulletin board at the town hall. Now he understood why most of the villagers were in front of the bulletin board. Now, effect of the order from Berlin on France and how he reacted on that. Okay, his reaction on the order of Berlin that he came to know from Mr. M. Hamel. My last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. I must stop there then. I must stop there then? Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking bird's egg, for going sliding on the Saar. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry. My grammar, my history of saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget about all the ruler, the crankiness of the teacher, all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Now let's see what all is there in this particular paragraph that we have read right now. This paragraph is declaring about in this paragraph, the narrator Franz is sharing about the effect of the order from Berlin on him. All of a sudden he changed, his idea for the language, for the teacher had changed. Listening to this thing that he won't be able to learn that language in future, all the things changed. He started repenting on himself for wasting the time. So he now thought that why he had not been attentive in the lessons, why he did not learn the language and wasted his time in seeking birds' eggs, going sliding on Saar, and his books that were heavy on him, that he did not like at all. He was not willing to come to school because he had to learn participles, and it was all nuisance, all useless things for him a little earlier. But as soon as he heard that he is not going to learn that language again, and those books became friends, and it became like old friends. And next, the teacher. He was really scared of the teacher. He was always in a great dread of the teacher. But now that same old teacher became dear to him because he was not going to see him again from the next day. And he was really feeling very sorry. And he said that this particular thought of not seeing the teacher in future has changed him completely, has changed his attitude towards the teacher completely. He forget all about M. Hamel's crankiness and how he used ruler in the class, how scared he used to be, how scared Franz used to be of M. Hamel earlier in the class. He forgot each and everything, and his attitude towards the language learning and towards his teacher has completely changed. Now here in this paragraph, the narrator has also given us a glimpse of the important human nature, that is when we have certain thing, we always take it for granted. We never value it. Human beings never value it. But when that thing is taken away and all of a sudden their attitude towards that thing changes, and they want to keep that thing with them, and they can do anything to keep that thing with them that is taken away from them. Here are the notes based on the reading done right now. It includes the reaction of M. Hamel's announcement and how Franz felt sorry for not learning the language. Do summarize them. Keep watching my videos and explore your language potential. Do like, subscribe and press the bell icon for my latest videos.